Hello everybody, today I'm going to be painting a Dutch Kaper from the game Blood Plunder by Firelock Games. The first thing I do with these models is block out the base, and in this case I'm going to use tan earth. Now I'm going to use burnt umber to base coat the breeches and the stockings. You're going to want to use multiple layers to build up your base coat. I'm now going to mix up red and German camouflage black-brown in a 3:1 ratio. This will be applied over all the red details such as his sash and his cravat. For his jacket, I'm going to mix up black with dark Prussian blue in a 50-50 mix. Once again, you're going to want to solidify your color through multiple coats. Moving on to leather details of the miniature, I'm going to mix up German camouflage black brown and leather brown in a 50-50 mix. His musket will be base coated in flat brown. And I use a base coat of Bugman's Glow for any flesh parts, such as the face and his hands. I'll use chocolate brown to base coat any details that are brass as well as the hair. Now for his yellow cuffs, I'm going to mix up burnt umber and yellow ochre in a 50-50 mix. Moving on to the black details, I'm going to use black from Filejo. I'm going to paint up the shoes, his hat, any details on the musket, and the scabbard for his sword. Don't forget his powder box. Now that all the base coats are complete and had time to dry, I'm going to use Gravelord Grey, a speed paint by Army Painter. This will be used as a black lining applied to all the changes in colors, as well as differentiating all the separate articles of clothing. Applying the black lining into the eye sockets will help in a future step when we're doing the eyes. Speaking of eyes, once your black lining is dried, take a fine brush and ivory. You'll paint little lines where the eyeballs will be. You want to be as steady as possible. Once you have the whites applied, you're going to take a black and just dot where the pupils would be. Once you're happy with the eye, take your black and you're just going to outline the eyeball. This will help give it shape and highlight the eyeball itself. Now I'm going to take my base coat of Bugman's Glow and I'm going to clean up the face, pushing back the black lining of both the eyes and where his facial hair is. This will help solidify your color as well. While you're cleaning up the face, you could also clean up the hand as well. I forgot to do that here. Alright, I'm going to move on to layering up. I'm going to reapply the base coat of burnt umber onto his breeches and stockings, cleaning up the black lining and reaffirming the base coat. For the miniatures breeches, I'm going to do the same color I used in the militia video previously. I'm going to mix up 2 parts burnt umber, 1 part English uniform, and 1 part yellow ochre. This will be applied over the majority of the breeches, leaving the burnt umber in the creases. My next layer is an even mix of burnt umber, English uniform, and yellow ochre. The layer after that will be 1 part burnt umber, 1 part English uniform, and 2 parts yellow ochre. As we layer up, I'm going to keep adding more yellow ochre to the mix. At this stage, I'm at approximately 1 part burnt umber, 1 part English uniform, and 3 parts yellow ochre. Once I solidified the color enough, I'm now going to start adding Iraqi sand to the mix to push the highlight even further. Moving on to the stockings, I'm going to take our base coat, a burnt umber, and I'm going to gradually add khaki. For this first layer, I'll have approximately 75% burnt umber to 25% khaki. As I layer up, I'm going to keep adding khaki to the mix. At this stage, I'm at approximately a 50-50 mix. This will be my final layer. I'm at approximately 25% burnt umber and 75% khaki now. Moving on to the reds of the miniature, I'm going to take our base coat of 3:1 red to German camouflage black brown and reapply this to red areas. I'm going to gradually layer up using red by Vallejo. As I layer up the red, I'm going to slowly start adding Wazdaka red into my mix. I'm now at a pure Wazdaka red. For the highest points, I'm going to add Iraqi sand into my mix. I want to be careful here though, as I don't want to turn the red into a pink. Going back to the jacket, I'm going to reapply the 50-50 mix of black and dark Prussian blue. Now to layer up, I'm going to mix 2 parts black, 2 parts dark Prussian blue, and 1 part Luftwaffe uniform World War II. After that, I'm going to move on to a mix of 1 part black, 1 part dark Prussian blue, and 1 part Luftwaffe uniform World War II. From here on, I'm just going to keep adding Luftwaffe uniform World War II as I'm layering up. At this stage, I'm at approximately 1 part black, 1 part dark Prussian blue, and 2 parts Luftwaffe uniform World War II. Once again, keep adding Luftwaffe uniform World War II. I'm going to keep layering up using just this mix, focusing on the high points of the miniature to give the impression of highlights on this dark color. Going back to the leathers, I'm going to reapply our base coat of German camouflage black brown and leather brown in a 50-50 mix. After re-establishing the base coat, I'm going to move on to pure leather brown. This will be applied in a patchy manner. Next, I'll mix khaki into my leather brown. This will be applied as an edge highlight. Adding more khaki to the mix, I'll apply little lines to give a weathered effect. Now using pure khaki, I'll add more little lines. This will exaggerate the effect of the weathering. Finally, I'll mix up Lamian Medium and Agrax Earthshade. I'll apply this as a glaze over the leather to combine the colors. While we have this washout, apply it to the base. I'll clean up the musket using a flat brown. Mahogany brown will be mixed into my flat brown. I'll apply this in a streaking manner to give the impression of wood grain. My next layer will be a pure mahogany brown applied in the same way. Moving back onto the skin, I'm going to reapply Bugman's Glow onto the hands as I missed it earlier. Next, you'd want to mix Cadian Flesh Tone into your Bugman's Glow. You're looking at approximately a 50-50 mix here. You're going to apply this all over the flesh areas, leaving the Bugman's Glow in the recesses. Now using a pure Cadian Flesh Tone, you're going to cover all the areas in the previous step, but you're going to cover less of the surface area. Now we'll begin mixing Keslev Flesh into the Cadian Flesh Tone. Reapply this over all the previous areas once again, but covering even less of the previous surface area. Now we're at a pure Keslev Flesh. This will be applied at all the high points, picking out the nose, cheeks, and fingers. Now I'll take Cadian Flesh Tone and I'll mix a hint of Luftwaffe Uniform World War II, and I'll apply this onto the jawline. This will give kind of a 5 o'clock shadow. After that, I'll take Karaborg Crimson and apply this into the mouth area. For the cuffs, reapply the base coat of Yellow Ochre and Burnt Umber. As I layer up, I'm going to keep adding Yellow Ochre until I'm at a solid color. Once at pure Yellow Ochre, I'm going to add a hint of ivory to highlight it. You're going to want to clean up the hair using chocolate brown, then you'll mix in tan earth. This will be applied over the hair strands, the eyebrows, and the mustache. Next, you're going to use a pure tan earth, and you're just going to highlight each of the strands of hair, including mustache and eyebrows once again. While we have the tan earth out, we're going to pick out the wood grains from the base. Next, using Agrax Earthshade, you want to run this in between each of the planks, and you want to cover the nails, as well as the rim of the base. Now taking a black, we're going to pick out the nail heads, and we're going to re-establish all of our black details, such as the shoes, hat, powder box, and details on the musket. To highlight the blacks, I'm going to begin mixing in black gray. Keep mixing in the black gray as we highlight up. Now I'm going to paint the rim of the base with dryad bark. Moving on to our metallic details, I'm going to start with the brass areas. I'll clean up the brass using a chocolate brown first, then I'll mix in brass by Vallejo into the chocolate brown, applying this onto the hilt of the saber and his buttons, as well as any clasps. After that, I'll take a pure brass and highlight all the gold details. Going to now take gunmetal, and I'll apply this to the head of the nails, as well as the barrel of the musket and all the details on the weapon. I'll mix silver into my gunmetal to apply highlights to the steel bits. With that, the miniature is now complete. All that's left is to apply a matte varnish. Thank you for taking time to watch my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe to see more, and I'll leave you with pictures of the completed unit.